Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with yet another deck tech. And today I'm going back because Daybreak Games, although they're coming slowly, they are adding some of the backlog. And today's commander is one of the cards that got added in a recent update. I'm recording this a bit late in the week, and I've just seen that there is another one coming on the 5th of September, so look out for that deck tech. If you know who I'm talking about, you can wait for it. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go check out the Daybreak article today, or yesterday as you watch this. But they go through the state of the game, and yeah, you'll find out the one I'll be covering sometime next week as soon as I can pick one up. But today's deck, as you know, is Tivit, Seller of Secrets, added in the last update. And it is a 3 white, blue and black, 6/6 legendary creature Sphinx Rogue with flying and ward 3, which I like for 6/6. No issue with that at all, that's fine. If it just had those stats, I'd still be playing it. But the ability is very much interesting. Council's Dilemma. When Tivit enters the battlefield or deals combat damage, starting with you, each player votes for evidence or bribery. Evidence gives you an investigate token, bribery gives you a treasure token, and you get to vote twice. This is fun. It's a voting deck. It is very much a case of who am I going to hit, and then how am I going to convince people that this is better for them to give me this one or that one. And I basically went down the whole route of picking up the negotiating cards where I could. So this is what today's deck looks like. Quick run through the lands. Yep, all the black, blue and white lands you can imagine are here. Field of the Dead's here, obviously for obvious reason. Fable Passage, 4 of each basic. Opal Palace, Path of Ancestry, they're both in this one. And yeah, Temple of the False God, and somewhere Reliquary Tower. That's it, I'm not going to go through it. Any blue, white or black lands you've got should be in the deck. Dual lands included. This deck is looking quite pricey at the moment. I think it's coming out about $360. But there's a few cards in the deck that I'll go through as we come to them that we can take out and just ignore, which will cut the cost down if you want to get it down to about $100. So here we go. The rest of it, the ramp side of things, Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Fellwar Stone, and the respective talismans. That's it. I haven't gone too much on the ramp side because we've got a lot of things that that should be enough for us to get there, and we've got some other ways of doing stuff, and we've got a bit of early game, we've got a bit of mid game, we've got a lot of late game, so we should be able to get the mana out as we need as we go along. 37 lands, that's where we're starting from. So 1 drops. We're very interested in the fact that when this enters the battlefield, doesn't say it's when it's cast, it's when it's entered. So I've gone for kind of a blink sub theme in the deck, because you might as well with this deck. So we've got Cloud Shift, Ephemerate, Essence Flux to start off with. We've got a few others like Momentary Blink, Otherworldly Journey, Turn to Mist. They're all here. They all help us do it. I'll come to them as we go through. But yeah, just bear that in mind, because all these do is basically exile a creature you control, then you return it to the battlefield under your control, which means in Tivit's case you get to do the whole Council's Dilemma thing again and get either more evidence token or investigate tokens or more treasure tokens, one or the other, whichever way you want to look at it. So that's why we're here. A little bit of spot removal in Condemn and Swords to Plowshares, a bit of top of my library manipulation with Preordain. Blink flashes black, flashes back. If we do 1 exile, we can exile it again for 4 mana from the graveyard. Otherworldly Journey flashes in and out, and you get to come in +1/+1 counter. The first card you may want to think about replacing with something else, Cyclonic Rift. This will take the cost of the deck down, just looking across, by about $27, so that's a good place to start, but keep it in, keep it out, it's your call. Counter spell's fine. Mana Drain, next card you might want to replace if you want to. That'll take $40 off the cost of the deck or thereabouts. So yeah, you can put something like, I don't know, Mana Leak in, whatever, another version of Counter Spell, 3 mana version if need be. I like these two. I have them in. I have all of these. I have these on MTGO, so hence why they're here. Tyrant's Choice. From Vintage Masters, there you go, I couldn't remember. Starting with you, each player votes for death or torture. If death gets more votes, each opponent sacrifices a creature. If torture gets more votes or the vote is tied, each opponent loses 4 life. Nice 2 mana. See what people want to do with it, otherwise want to lose a life or they want to sack a creature. See what happens. Turn to Mist, another blink effect. Baleful Strix is another target for our blink effects. Draw those extra cards. Been through everything down here. Acrobatic Remover. Draws you a card when you do it, and you can target a creature you control. Get more benefit from that. Eerie Interlude lets you do all the creatures in play that Havard comes into the battlefield effect, and there's quite a few of these kicking around in this deck, so bear that in mind. The first one of which, Lauren of the Third Path. Enters the battlefield, destroys one target artifact or enchantment. You get to tap it to draw the card draw, but blowing up stuff is always fun. Scroll Shift, another one, does it, draws a card when it comes back. And then Council's Judgment, the next one of our vote cards, for want of a better phrase. Starting with you, each player votes for non-land permanent you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. Nice way of getting rid of something that's annoying you and hoping your opponents agree with you. A little bit of negotiation in the chat may be necessary for this to happen, but at the end of the day, what else are you going to do in this game? Displace, just another way of exiling up to 2 creatures, getting them comes into battlefield effects again. Same with Ghostly Flicker. And yeah, I've succumbed. I've actually picked up Rhystic Study because the cost of it on MTGO is down to about $1.50. In real life, it's a card you can get rid of to drop the cost of the deck down if you want to. It's $31 or thereabouts, I think, at the moment. Yeah, it's still a good card. It's one of the few cards I would say that's over $20 that I recommend you pick up, so bear that in mind. Nadir's Nightblade. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Treasures, investigation tokens, clue tokens. Yeah, okay, it's worth having this card in here, definitely. Anointed Processions, another one of the cards that can be dropped, sitting around about $42 at the moment, but we like doubling up on the tokens, so it's up to you whether you want to pick one up or play it. MTGO, it's not too bad. I mean, I think the whole deck on MTGO is about 53 tickets, so it's not too sad at all. Semester's End is another mass exile return to the battlefield effect. Smothering Tithe, another one of the cards that's not too bad. It's $15, so you can drop it or get one. I would recommend picking them up. It's come down a lot in price since it's reprinted in Commander Masters. But the original ones that I've got here from Ravnica Allegiance, yeah, are probably cheaper still, so bear that in mind. Teleportation Circle, just a nice way of exiling creatures in your battlefield or artifacts that you control if you need to. Moondruk Glory Dominus, $20 creature, or $22 I think. Creature that can be dropped if you want to, but I like having this and Anointed Procession in decks when I'm playing around with tokens. So, you get a lot of tokens if they're both in play. Wrath of God and Damnation give you a bit of board control. Plea for Power. Starting with you, each player votes for time or knowledge. If time gets more votes, take an extra turn. If knowledge gets more votes, draw 3 cards. 9 times out of 10, you're going to pay 4 mana to draw 3 cards. Not many people are going to give you extra turns unless you're about to deck yourself, in which case all bets are off and they probably will do it so you deck yourself. Mirkwood Bats comes in. I think everyone's seeing this turn up a lot now in Commander decks, especially where you're playing around with tokens. Great card from Lord of the Rings. Sack the tokens, everyone loses a life. Thank you very much. We'll get on with it. Gonti makes an appearance. Enters the battlefield, gets to null someone's top 4 cards, especially if they're scryed. It really does upset them, so you get their best cards, you know what's on top. We can work it out. Brago comes in because, hey, why wouldn't you play Brago in a deck where you're blinking everything? Urtai, just for a little bit of more counter ability. Yes, it gives your opponent card draw, but destroys creatures, planeswalkers, and it enters the battlefield, so it's another good blink effect, along with Hostage Taker. That does the same thing. The great thing with Hostage Taker is you can exile it and play it if you've got enough mana. So Hostage Taker is more of a mid to late game player than an early game player, unless you're desperate, I would say. Just bear that in mind. Notion Thief, unusual card, I must admit. Doesn't see that much playing Commander apart from in Esper, Death and Taxes decks, but this one's a bit more interesting in here. If his opponent would draw a card, except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card. I'm putting this in here because there's a lot of wheel effects going on at the moment in Commander in the games I've been playing recently, and yeah, I'd quite like to have everyone's cards instead of just mine, and I'd be really hoping if I'm drawing something in the region of say 28 cards, my 7, everyone else's 7, that I would be hitting Reliquary Tower just to make sure I haven't got discard them all, because that would be a bit of a nightmare. Solemn Sim, a nice way of getting extra lands into play, basics, especially if we can blink it a little bit. 5 drops. Custodian Squire is just another one that votes, and you get to return stuff from your graveyard, so that's quite nice. Again, another card that's come down in price since it's reprinting Commander Masters. Mole Drifter, traditional. Evoke it if you need to early to get the 2 cards, or hopefully hit the 5 mana, keep it in play, and blink it a few times and get a lot of cards. Cloud Blazer is slightly upgraded version of Mole Drifter from my point of view. Yes, it's a little bit more difficult to cast for 2 mana, but with 2 mana symbols in it, so blue and white instead of just 4 and a blue. This is 3 white and blue, but you get the 2 life as well and draw the 2 cards and it stays in play. Swings and roundabouts, I like both, hence why they're here. Eloise is here because if you're going to sacrifice a token, you might as well do a bit of surveilling while you're at it, and another creature's dying, you get to investigate. More tokens the merrier, we like that plan. And Urion, not coming as a companion, not going to play companions in Commander, well, not this companion anyway, but I like this card just for the fact you can exile a load of stuff and return it and get all those nice Enter the Battlefield triggers again. Speaking of Enter the Battlefield triggers, Sun Titan, Frost Titan, Blight Titan, Grave Titan, they're all here, they've all got Into the Battlefield effect. They're the kind of win conditions that are coming in this deck more than anything else. The Canopy, Kappa Cannoneer is also here. 4/4, Ward 4, Improvise. Yeah, going to have a whole load of clue tokens by the time we get ready to cast this with a bit of luck, and we can use them to help cast it, so that makes sense. And then when an artifacts into the battlefield, you get to put +1/+1 counters on Kappa, and it can't be blocked. I have won games using Kappa, in conjunction, admittedly, with Urza, but not the Urza that's in the deck that's coming up in a second, but Kappa's good. Pick one up if you haven't got one already. Capital Punishment is another one of the voting ones. Starting with you, each player votes for death or taxes. Each opponent sacrifices a creature for each death vote, and discards a card for each taxes vote. Only your opponents, not you. It's pretty good. Magister of Worth also enters in. Does another way of the voting. 4/4 Angel. Bit overpriced at 6 mana, I feel, but starting with you, each player votes for Grace or Condemnation. If Grace gets more votes, each player returns a creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield. If Condemnation gets more votes, or the vote is fired, destroy everything else apart from the Magester. Most people will vote, in my experience, for Grace to return a creature, so make sure you've got something in your graveyard worth returning. Elanda and Azor also make an appearance in this deck. Coming also in from the same set as Arthing, so this is from March of the Machines. Kappa's, I can't remember where Kappa's from, where our commander's from now, but whatever. Life gain, card draw, bit of payment of life to get the Vampire Knights, but if you draw on a whole load of cards, which you can do with this deck, especially if you've managed to do Notion Thief, yeah, okay, then I'll pay the 4 life. I've done Notion Thief, 28 1/1 life knight creatures with lifelink. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good, hence why it's here. And Urza, Chief Artificer, makes an appearance. Affinities for artifact creatures. The only one you've really got are Solemn Sim and Kappa, so, you know, the maximum you can do is drop it by 2. But, 3, sorry, Baleful Strix. So you can get it down for black, blue and white, but not chance that you can pay full cost for it. But artifact creatures you control have menace, and at the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Get a lot of artifacts from Tivit. We've got a lot of artifacts coming in from Blinky Land, so yeah, keep it in play. Might as well keep it going. The traditional blink target is also here, Agent of Treachery. You should be able to nick 3 permanents and start drawing those cards every turn, which is lovely. And the final card in the deck, Exporporate. Sorry, I have to slow down to say that. Starting with you, each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn after this one. For each money vote, choose a permanent owned by a voter and gain control of it. And then you exile it. So you only get to do this once, but 9 mana. A couple of extra turns is the usual outcome, or people quit when you cast it, I will be honest. Bear that in mind. You may not be popular. If people sort of go through your deck, you'll probably see this turn up in the chat go, they've got Exporporate in their deck, we need to take them out. It's happened to me. Bear that in mind while you're playing the deck. But that's it. That's my little take on Tivit, the Seller of Secrets. A few of the cards that you can, like I say, you might want to think about replacing Ristic Study, Anointed Procession, Smothering Tithe, Mundrak, Gloria Dominus. I'm just looking at the prices. Cyclonic Rift, Mana Drain, Damnation's in the deck. That's getting up. That's $17 at the moment, but you know, Field of the Dead's 22, and that's it really. If you take them out, you're dropping the cost of the deck down to just over $100. I think I've done the maths right, so it's a reasonable deck to try and build from that point of view. But there you go. I've talked enough for now. I hope you've enjoyed this version of Tivit. You'll see the one that's coming next week once I can pick one up. That'll probably be a later video next week, so bear that in mind, assuming A, everything goes ahead as it should do on the 5th of September, and B, I can pick one of the cards up I need from one of the traders. So thanks for watching, take care. If you hadn't subscribed before, I hope you're subscribed now. Hit the bell icon, hit the subscribe button. Come and see me over on Twitch as well. You'll see me playing this deck tonight. This is going up on Thursday. I'll be streaming tonight, and I will be playing Tivit as part of the stream tonight, so come and check me out there. There's a link to my stream down below, and hopefully I'll see you there. Come and say hello. Be lovely to meet you. Take care. Thanks for watching. Watch out for the next video, which will be out next Monday. Take care. Bye.